We getting ready to blow. We getting ready to blow. We getting ready to, so ready to, oh so ready to.
I'ma go get it.
We getting ready to.
I'ma go get it.
We getting ready to.
I'ma go get it.
We getting ready to, so ready to, oh so ready to.
We ready for jump ball. Set a chord now. Standing tall now. Hold the fort down. This is showtime. More than sports now. More than crunch time. We rush like fourth down.
I be taking wins. We don't mess with laws. I be taking wins. We don't mess with laws. I be taking wins. We don't mess with laws. I be taking wins. We don't mess with laws. We been on that paper chasing all that fashion. We been on that paper chasing what you ration.
Been in the grind now. We ready for prime time. Ready for shine now. We ready to get smile. On the rise, all eyes up on us now. Blast off spaceships till the touchdown.
Energy level on high. Put that trouble on fire. Double it down, I'ma spit it around. Click, clack, boom, we the best in town. Energy level on high. Put that trouble on fire. Double it down, I'ma spit it around. Click, clack, boom, we the best in town. I started off the lowest point in life, though. I started off the lowest point in life, though. I started off the lowest point in life, though. I started off the lowest point in life, though. I started off the lowest point in life, though.
We getting ready to, so ready to, oh so ready to blow.
We're getting ready to blow. Yo, what we're going to do is we're going to listen to a little bit of music. We're going to listen to a little bit of music until 9 o'clock comes in. My name is Pro. What's your name? Let us know. Hey, best place to hit us up if you want your messages to come through fast and quick is actually the YouTube page. So if you're checking us out on YouTube, cool. But if you're not, remember it is tinyurl.com/The ProQuo Show. The ProQuo Show. Twitter is a cool place to check us out as well. It's on my Twitter page, which is Prof Lyrical. My LinkedIn page, which is Professor Lyrical as well. Cool places to check us out. But in terms of commenting, that's one of the best places because those pop right through. So check us out. Again, the YouTube page is tinyurl.com/The ProQuo Show. Hit us up. We obviously going to talk a little bit about the judgment today, the not guilty verdict today in the Rittenhouse defense. The defense, I guess, defended. We're going to talk about that. Biden has chimed in on that. Said it upsets him, which is interesting. You don't always hear presidents chiming in on cases like that. But, you know, things are different in the world of politics in the last couple of times around. We're obviously going to talk about Young Dolph, and that's about it. So in the next few moments, hit me up. I'll be checking the messages, but I'm going to play a couple of tracks I've been working on, some stuff that Quo and I had started putting together. I've been mixing, trying to get it right, and shout out to BTG, which is Bridging the Gap. What up, Deborah Gibbs? UDC fam in the building. And I'm going to also play for you, speaking of UDC, I'm going to play a Steam song that we made. Quo and I made a song. It's about Steam, so we call it the Steam theme song, right? So instead of calling it Steam theme song, we call it Steam song, which is cool, being utilized by some different entities. A couple tracks that I've also been working on, as well as a couple ProQuo things we'll get in the mix. I got Fly coming in as well. You know that's going to be happening. And I want to tell you about next week. Next year is the 1 year. Well, next week is the 1 year anniversary show for the ProQuo Show. It's crazy. Hard to believe it's been a year. Got my man Fee coming through, the Affiliates, his brand new track, Beast from the East, featuring myself and Quo. Fee, of course, on there, Detention, all kinds of people on there you'll hear more about. So check for that on my social media page and check out for Fee. If you look at his pages as well, you'll see the promo for that. We'll be going live a couple times too, building up to that. Can't wait for that. So check for that, and we're gonna have some special guests coming through as well. What up, Tree? But yeah, I'm gonna play a couple joints right now as we roll into 9 o'clock. Just wanted to get on early to have enough time to play those. So let me do that, and I will be right back at you at the top of the hour.
Grandmama told me put the family first. Mama told me do it harder than you ever worked. Pops told me listen more when you decide to speak. Pro told me when your time comes, be prepared to teach. I told Tam I'ma grow the beats. Worldwide youth chapters, new products for the streets. Self-made when the violence has ceased. I see the rain and sun rays over regular beef. Tears falling for the children, I'm weak. It's sad watching great-grandmother stuck in the wheat. So I'm repping the youth, better living, I'm proof. Got them seeing the truth. See the casket sales way too high, so we stay in the booth. And we way too fly to be dead in the coop.
It's the B to the T to the G, baby. We gon' bridge that gap in the streets, baby. It's the B to the T to the G, baby. We gon' bridge that gap in the streets, baby. It's the B to the T to the G, baby. We gon' bridge that gap in the streets, baby. It's that B to the T to the G, baby. We gon' bridge that gap everywhere, baby. We bridge the gap like structural engineers. For anybody who's stuck, you discovered your tribe here. Find the dares and motivations to test them. Keep them all clear and be open to all suggestions. I take questions, help find solutions. Point the youth in the same direction the truth is. Let them discover it, never feel like we're preaching it. Cause meet them where they at is the only way to be reaching them. They think I'm teaching them cause my name is Professor though. The real jewel is every class I get better though. More professional learning from all my learners. Some are sojourners and others in their turners. Revolutionary seeking to change. Looking for angels whose investors, not seeking loose change. The crew's name that's BTG, and them initials on point like CP3. It's the B to the T to the G, baby. We gon' bridge that gap in the streets, baby. It's that B to the T to the G, baby. We gon' bridge that gap in the streets, baby. B to the T to the G, baby. We gon' bridge that gap in the streets, baby. It's the B to the T to the G, baby. We gon' bridge that gap everywhere, baby. Come on. B, T, G. B, T, G. B, T, G. Bridge that gap.
That was pretty seamless right there on the DJ switch up. Yeah. Steam song.
Steam flow. Here's where I start. All of us are smart. There is no such thing as some of us are math people and others aren't. I could rip that apart. Instead, I build a society. Blurred hip-hop culture to counteract that math anxiety. I use variety, target a vocab that sounds cryptic. Instead of just talking crypto, I show the math of elliptics. That's cryptography. Combined with my discography, that probably means I'm the perfect person. Go search our biography. We superstars chart the heavens like astrology and take it nanoscale. Study up on our biology, nanotechnology. Delve in the quantum realm, start Lang and Barry Allen, how they dwell inside ourselves. Yeah, colliding like a hadron as particles accelerate. The way we mix and play songs make part of you want to celebrate with the ProQuo tempo and rate. Mixing beats per minute, teaching artists how to charge a rate and profit when they spit and get it. This is that theme song. This is that steam song. Science, tech, engineering, math, what we fiend on. We them phenoms, we the winning team. When we spit it with them lyrics, this that A that goes in steam. Yeah, this is that theme song. This is that steam song. Science, tech, engineering, math, what we fiend on. We them phenoms, cause we the winning team. When we spit it with them lyrics, this that A that goes in steam, baby. Yeah, ProQuo, baby. Professor and the postman. Delivering a little steam, a little heat to y'all. Hey, yo, Quo.
Yeah.
Run the numbers, baby.
Yo. Scammers going NBA via NBAs. New hood talking, 4 zeros, moving ones and Ks. Yeah. That's suit and tie fly. But this hoodie's about to keep me paid. Do or die vibe, multiplied in the quantum way. That's Gardner's intelligence, measured into what I say. Centimeter penmanship. How it feel when I subtract what your dollar cent. When you ill, but you still in your fields of accomplishment. I'm an actuary specialist creating your retirement. Stems at an age tallied up in my environment. Focused on the arts, cause the heart I'm a tied with. Yo, check the graphs though. A life of math, rocket science in the trap. What's the hash code? I'm talking timeless. Quantum physics lyrics hit you in the spirit. Now I'm when you pass, bro.
This is that theme song. This is that steam song. Science, tech, engineering, math, what we fiend on. We them phenoms, we the winning team. When we spit it with them lyrics, this that A that goes in steam. Yeah, this is that theme song. This is that steam song. Science, tech, engineering, math, what we fiend on. We them phenoms, cause we the winning team. When we spit it with them lyrics, this that A that in between, baby.
Now we never be gonna lay down because we on our way now. We on our way, on our way, on our way now. We on our way, on our way, on our way now. We on our way, on our way, on our way now. We never be gonna lay down because we on our way now.
I get inspired writing rhymes after hearing J's. Feeling good in my soul like a pair of J's. Our parents changed just a bit from my average ways. Used to drop the bag on kicks, now it's attachés. Back in the day, used to swear I was a Romeo. Word is born, now it's born, stalking that portfolio. I tell my homies, yo, from back in the day, instead of shoes for them whips, sometimes we got to choose to save. Tools of the trade like a microphone or pen, man. Ship records across the globe for the kids, fam. Tell the truth, as a youth, I was a Kiss fan. Before the locks, I was rocking Peter Criss, man. A big fan of them superhero rock stars. Beth, I hear you calling, but I'm wanting to be this pop star. Rap star, since hip-hop been on the pop charts. Too many on the chase till it crashes like a cop car.
We on our way, on our way, on our way now.
Yeah.
We on our way, on our way, on our way now. We on our way, on our way, on our way now. We never be gonna lay down because we on our way now. We on our way, on our way, on our way now.
Yeah.
We on our way, on our way, on our way now. We on our way, on our way, on our way now. We never be gonna lay down because we on our way now.
Google this author, see if dudes got bars. Few is beautiful, I'm Googling both. I spit in that raw, dog. Producers marveled and give me the beast to rap on. Disney be the beast that all of y'all still are gassed on. Been passed on like track batons. Now they asking who's that? Once the track comes on, I practice hard. Become one who's mastered bars. Featuring me, charging C's for MasterCard.
We on our way, on our way, on our way now. We on our way, on our way, on our way now. We on our way, on our way, on our way now. We never be gonna lay down because we on our way now. We on our way, on our way, on our way now. We on our way, on our way, on our way now. We on our way, on our way, on our way now. We never be gonna lay down because we on our way now.
Yeah, it's Pro. And that's short for Professor Lyrical.
Yeah, last
Used
one.
to just go by
Don't get
Lyrical
into it.
till I became a professor, but now I really embrace the Pro. You know what I mean? I feel like I've become a professional, you know? So that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, it's Pro. Check it out. It's hard to believe that now I wear my heart on my sleeve. Used to wear a sleeve over my heart. That was my starting point, guarded, shielded, concealing how I'm feeling. Thinking of keeping it hard meant not being revealing. But I really never felt hard inside my heart. I love people. I never want to tear them apart, but some kids are mean even before they turn teens. Made me want to stick to myself and stick to my team. A small circle was never really one for the fanfare till I made my first fan. Now I understand real clear. I feel the pain of others sincere and vividly, so I don't have to live it to know and show them some empathy. So now I empty these Mont Blancs repeatedly. You feel a sense of pride when they say my rhymes repeating me. The way they treating me, I feel like a pro. Y'all show me love on the rag. Thanks for letting me know, yo. Now everywhere I go, they like, yo, that's a pro. See me at a show, they like, yo, that's pro. Everywhere I go, they like, yo, that's a pro. Moment about the flow, like, yo, that's pro. Now everywhere I go, they like, yo, that's a pro. Yeah, see me at a show, they like, yo, that's pro. Yeah. Everywhere I go, they like, yo, that's a pro. Moment about the flows, like, yo, that's pro. Yeah, that's pro. What up, pro? I say you, pro. Yeah, they say sales and streams make MC successful, but I put bars over numbers like repeating decimals. Some be so stressful, down deep they rest, so I just try to keep it peace before it seeps in my temple. So I freak the beats when I speak, peaking the decibels. Would never set up an average, I'd rather reach incredible levels inevitable. Y'all should peep my schedule. You'll find me eating vegetables at several Greek festivals. My dear partying, not like the rest of you. Didn't get this lyrical by doing what the rest would do. I never rested, dude, son, I got my lessons too. College professor, call me mister, cause respect is due. I got a question, dude, if you could only spit one verse, would you rhyme about yourself or uplift the earth? Would you lie about your wealth, gross and total worth? Before you lie about yourself, face full of dirt. I think you done some dirt, you done when you was a kid. You wish you wouldn't have done what you did, and it's done dead. Son, kid, I ain't trying to act a holy father, but if you thinking you nasty as Nas, I'll son you old daughter. Everywhere I go, they like, yo, that's a pro. See me at a show, they like, yo, that's pro. Everywhere I go, they like, yo, that's a pro. Moment about the flow, like, yo, that's pro. And everywhere I go, they like, yo, that's a pro. See me at a show, they like, yo, that's pro. Everywhere I go, they like, yo, that's a pro. Moment about the flow, like, yo, that's pro.
Yo, that's pro, but yo, that's
Yo, that's-
fly.
Ooh. Yo, that's a pro right there. What's up, bro?
Yes, sir, man. Just trying to be like you, you know? Trying to be like the pro fly, man. What's going on, bro?
Yes, sir, man. Long week, man. Today was like probably one of the hardest days work-wise.
Oh, I was gonna say for which reason, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, work-wise, man. That I
work
had
or
probably-
world, you know what I'm saying? Work or
I know,
world.
right? I know.
Yeah.
Definitely work. Our world, man. There's a lot of stuff going on too, man. Last week, man. This time last week we was talking about hip hop related trauma.
Yeah.
And we full circle another week. We have more issues going on
It's an
in the
understatement,
community,
right?
man.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, man. I know lots of people probably have thanks, Tree, appreciate it. I know a lot of people probably checking in. I mentioned we would obviously talk about the Young Dolph situation. Obviously today's verdict is probably fresh on everybody's mind too. So I didn't want to avoid those topics as well. But sorry to hear that your work is going crazy at the same time, and I can only imagine as the transition is getting ready to occur, right?
I felt it today.
Yeah.
Today
What's
was
the
Thursday.
last day? Is it 30th? The 29th?
Yeah, 29th.
29th.
My
yeah,
first
yeah.
day. My first day at the new gig is 29th. So I'll probably go in. I got a few more days, get some stuff set up, and then I'll probably take about 4 or 5 days off again.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm wondering what people think in terms of, well, two things is the verdict, right? Obviously, I'm totally not shocked. That's exactly what I expected to happen. So I hope for the best, and I was ready for the worst, which I've just by the judge, just the tone of the judge. I don't know how much you were
Bro,
following, but his tone was just like, he almost seemed like cheery in a way about the situation, if that makes any sense,
yeah, it makes perfect sense, man. Because you're not the first person that said that to me today.
Yeah.
You're not.
I don't know if cheery is the right word, but we lost Fly there for a sec. I don't know if cheery is the right word, but you seem like, hey, you know what I mean? Like just good old boy kind of stuff or whatever. And you know what? Like, to be fair, like, it's really tough when when you got a dude on trial and making it sound like it's a self-defense thing. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, that dude did no help when he was like, yeah, basically, I pulled out and then he pulled out. You know what I mean? Kind of like it really just brought that front and center, like that was the only issue,
Yeah. So how do you feel about your approach to about their approach? Or to me, what was the root of the issue is, first of all, how did this young man get a gun?
Right.
An AR-15. I mean, I don't know what the legal age.
How do they all get AR-15s? Walmart, right? It's like you know what I'm saying?
But you know what I'm
gun
saying?
shows, whatever.
Is that not a crime though?
Right. But the thing is, right, is it just like every trial? We can talk about all that kind of stuff, right? And I heard the way you prefaced it. You were like, what do you think about their kind of like their approach or whatever? I don't remember your exact words, but I know what you were getting at. And It's like, we always got to remember in these trials, it's what's on trial that they're talking about. They're not going to talk about all those 10 things that we can talk about and say all that kind of stuff. So when I saw even the footage of what happened, I was like, oh no, this dude's going to get off. This dude's going to cry self-defense. Like, yeah, never mind the fact that this dude was, vigilante looking to go start some stuff. You know what I mean? Looking to go pop off and go hunting. You know what I mean? And under the false flag of, I'm just a patriot doing what we got to do. And you knew the very conservative right would jump all over that and have his back and threatening the outcry. Imagine like what would happen if it went the other way. This is one of those situations where, we're used to a lot of the riots being, we think about Watts and we think about all the stuff that happened, Rodney King, and we're now kind of programmed that when we hear riot, we mean black people rioting in the streets after a verdict, right? But can you imagine what this would have had? I think this time more than ever, especially after January 6th, if it would have went down the other way, you think we might have been seeing some crazy unrest in the streets? I mean, or not even right away. You know what I'm saying?
I think there would have been. I think there probably would have been some political uproar, but the thing about those type of situations, it's not one of those situations where it's my word versus your word kind of situations. Like, it's obviously you shot and killed these people. So I think that to me changes it just a little bit in that regard. You know what I mean? Like, you can't deny that he shot and killed people. You know what I'm saying? So it's not one of those situations where there was a police stop, a proper stop, and a proper cause, and all of those. There was nothing right about the situation. He should have never even been in the situation or the circumstance. Like, it just was all wrong. And so if it went the way where he was found guilty, I don't see how people could be as mad about it. You can't say it was his right to carry, or you know what I'm saying? Like, all the things that the extremists probably would have wanted to protect. You couldn't really, because he had no business with the gun in the first place.
I want to use that word protect. So, truth be told, I didn't watch much of this case.
I didn't watch any of it. I was trying
to protect myself, right? Like, I already knew, like I said, I knew from jump that this was going to go poorly. I was hoping there'd be the right judge involved, but then I was thinking about sort of the unsung Trump victory of getting all the court judges in the country basically lined up to be very conservative judges. That was just another thing I was thinking about. And I wasn't even following like how this judge got there or anything. I'm just saying, man, like the one thing this dude really did, that he put in his work, making sure he got all those conservative judges in every place that he could, And I am not a legal expert by any sense of the imagination. And by the way, one of my favorite classes that I ever took was for my doctorate. It was legal issues in higher ed. And shout out to Joe McNabb. I took him twice. He was the professor that everybody wanted to avoid. I loved him. And he was very, he was like hardcore, and he's a JD and a former university president. So I had him for the legal class. We had to look up all kinds of court documents and write these huge reports, doing stuff that most of us never have done before. They basically put you in a situation to go, okay, now you're going to be legal scholars, right, on all these cases. You hear the fancy ones, the ones everyone knows, Roe v. Wade, the popular ones. But
Brown
I learned
versus
so
Board.
many Brown versus Board of Education. Right? I learned so many V's that I never knew existed. Right, and you had to look up court documents, using JustStore and all these kind of academic kind of places. The reason I bring this all up is because I did learn a ton in terms about how some things work in sort of legal situations. But I am definitely no scholar on how all the different courts work. And it's still like, and when people talk about gaps areas that we have about how things work, that's a huge one for me. Like, I feel like I have a handle on how some things work politically, how a lot of our offices work, and a lot of our, courts for me are, I'm
totally different arena, man.
Yeah. It's like, I only have a glimpse of it. Right. But what I will say is that, it's weird to me how we honor very old-fashioned ways of doing things, and we look at the university, the academy, court systems, the judge. It's all this robes and all. We do the same thing in academia. We dress up. It's like we dress up in robes, and we really have no idea why. Hoods and all this kind of weird stuff from like European kind of like influence, right?
Yeah, kind of.
And we like worship that, and we want to talk about all the time how this stuff doesn't have, no one ever wants, everyone's like, oh, let's hope the left doesn't start talking about all the, the race stuff or whatever. And it's like, the whole thing is drenched in the WS white supremacy. The whole thing is. So when you get a juror or judge that's different from that as the exception, that we get maybe an ounce of hope that things are going to change a little bit, right? It's like, nope, sorry, rug's getting pulled out right here, full stop. Like, not having this one. It's right. It takes me right back to, all the other cases that we were seeing, sort of before, I would say before George Floyd, you know what I mean? Like, just a string of cases where we're just like, just again and again and again. And, this is just kind of right back business as usual is kind of how it feels. I would say this. I feel like if I would have been sort of the prosecution in this kind of case, that I could have done a better job. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the arguments that I would have made would not have been in the direction that necessarily that they were going. You know what I mean? And I mean, you gotta give it up. The defense did what they needed to do.
They did exactly what they needed to do, man. They properly prepared him. You could tell that he was properly prepared. I believe that it was, even though the verdict probably didn't go the way most of us probably felt it should, like some of the antics, so to speak, I think some of it was,
like the fake crying in the courtroom.
I think some of it was genuine, though. I believe a kid that age in a situation like that, I believe he probably at some point was genuinely scared or genuinely afraid, and probably generally a traumatizing experience. I don't believe it in its entirety. You know what I mean? Like, you still did it. And
you mean traumatized before he went over the border and started going where he had no business being, or you mean after?
After,
okay. Because I was gonna say he wasn't traumatized before.
No, right? No, not at all.
He was traumatized by like, I'm gonna show these boys.
Right. That's that's kind of my thing about what we were just saying a few minutes ago about the conservatives wanting to fight if the verdict had went the other direction. It was just kind of like, you really can't argue the result of what happened, of him showing up. You can't argue the intent necessarily of him going to, like you said, show up and show these, show the good, show what I can do, so to speak. He just had, I don't know what the prosecution was doing, bro. I have no idea. I didn't watch it at all. Once I saw the judge and kind of like how he was making the headlines instead of, before the case information was itself, I was like, oh yeah, this is one of those situations. This is not finna go good.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing that is exactly like I knew the way it was gonna go. There's really no other way, based upon the way that it was presented, that you could rule. That's the problem. You know what I'm saying? It was the situation, a dude in the street just playing vigilante, right? Unfortunately, the dude who comes on and is be like, yeah, basically I pulled out him. That actually did happen. You know what I'm saying? Like this dude did pull out or what, and it's like now you're giving a green light to a dude who's looking for a situation to come to a gunfight and use it, a valid situation. And so that's the problem. It's like, you know, dude went out, tried to protect someone else's city from, you know, the boogeyman, pun intended, you know, and gets out there, finds himself in the crosshairs, and he's like, yo, what is this dude doing? What is the mom doing bringing this dude? You know what I'm saying? It's like,
she should be in jail.
Absolutely. Too. But that's not the trial that's there. You know what I mean? It's so like, but when you look at what happened and how it was presented, there's no other way that you can. I mean, I don't know.
No, the prosecution didn't do a good job.
Yeah, no, it's like it would have been almost fraudulent in a way, based upon what happened in the courtroom, from what I saw from most of the highlights in the few minutes that I was checking in for the key things that happened on a day-to-day basis. It would have been like, it would have been one of those situations where, let's say I was on the jury and I felt, man, I feel like this kid is so like guilty. There'd be almost no way you could actually convince other people of that based upon what happened in there. And that's the problem. Right. You do got to go with what was said. So I don't think the judge helped, but the judge was in there almost like a cocky, you know, like, yeah, you know, just a lot of weird stuff happened in that room. And it's just easy to be upset. And I think it's important for people not to get too distracted. This is a lot of times in the media, we see these distraction things to take our, you know what I'm saying? And this is definitely like, and the thing is, the thing that kills me with all this stuff is it's always the media who wins, right?
Every time, bro.
It's the advertisers, it's the big money machine all the time. It's like, and that's why I didn't want to get sucked into it. I was like, you know what? I'll watch the highlights or whatever. But just like when Trump was in office, who wins, right? The media wins, right?
The media wins every time, man.
Yeah, we talk about like, you know, all overturning, whether it's Glass-Steagall, whatever, all the stuff that people want to turn over, getting money out of politics or what. The media don't want to turn that off, right? Because the media made we talk about how all the billionaires got richer. Yeah, a lot of the billionaires are people who own media companies.
Bro. They did
real well over the last 4 years, right? Over the last 4 or 5 years when they were talking about Trump every single day. And it was like that division, the media feeds into it because it's what builds ratings. And, you know, whether it's the unfortunate tragedy with Travis Scott, that actually causes rifts because we're going to sit around and we're going to talk about who's at fault, right? We're not going to see immediately this kind of stuff that would maybe vindicate someone like a Travis Scott. You've probably seen some of the footage going around where he's on the stage and he's like, yo, paramedics, can we get someone over here? Somebody just collapsed, right? He's on there clearly yelling for like 2 minutes about this. He's up there, he's like, yo, that's not cool. Yo, somebody just collapsed over there, right? We need to get, but that's not the first thing you hear. So what we hear is all the people who want to bash hip hop or whatever, and then other people want to bash whatever. And, you know, it makes headlines. And now the Young Dolph situation, right? It's like, admittedly, not a Young Dolph fan, right? I mean, God bless the dead. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to rain in that parade. I'm just stating that I was not like, you know, like it was different. Like when certain people have fallen in hip hop, it was like, yo, I heard Young Dolph's music like twice because 2 people I kind of trust were like, yo, you got to check the Young Dolph. Actually said some good things about him in the community. I was talking about this today and another thing. And I was like, cool, I can't wait to check for him. And then I heard his music. I was like, yeah, it doesn't match. It doesn't match up, you know?
Yeah.
But what we don't always get, we don't get all that good stuff dude was doing and how smart the dude was, how much of an entrepreneur he was,
how invested he was in the community.
Yeah, we don't get that. We don't get that. But you know what? I was waiting for that to happen, but I was pleasantly surprised that was reported this time around from a lot of news outlets.
Early too.
Very early on. Yeah, very early on.
The community, I think the community was responsible for that, man. The media didn't put the information out, man. It was the community, people from Memphis, people that were familiar with him and things he did. They immediately put the information out.
Absolutely.
Of
course, you hide the fact he was at a cancer place the day before. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't hide that. I mean,
you can't hide that. See, but the media is not going to do that. But like you said, the media is going to basically publicize whatever was profitable. And you know, everybody likes a good story, man. Yeah, everybody likes a good story, man. The drama, we promote drama. We promote, you know, devastation and travesty, things of that nature, because for some reason it's unusual, and so to speak, and so it's outside of people's normal scope of day-to-day activity. So we tend to cling to that kind of information. I'm glad it came out very soon. Right, I mean, right away. People were Black Twitter, Instagram, people in the hip hop community, which, you know, they're gonna make a big deal about the hip hop community, which I personally have my quarrels with the hip hop culture, in a sense. But this is just a personal feeling of mine that I've had for a long time, which is one of the reasons why I make the music that I make.
Yo, I've had it too. This is the thing, right? Like, I never want to lead with that because I know it can get taken the wrong way, right? I'm sure you feel the same way too, right? We don't want to be those people bashing hip hop. All we're doing is just keeping it a buck and saying, look, there's some things we do need to pay
change
attention to. Yeah, it's not the first thing. Again, like the tragedy of someone losing their life, someone losing a son. Yo, he had 2 kids. You know what I mean? You know, a lady and two beautiful little kids.
Terrible, man.
It's like those 2 little kids don't have a dad because somebody wanted to be a tough guy. You know what I mean? And
it's sad, bro.
Right. And it's like, over what? You know? And it's like, here's the thing I've always had. I've had trouble with this since I was first rapping. So this isn't anything that I've really changed. I've been like, one of the first shows I went to was a Rap Against Drugs show. It was in Lowell, actually. Shout out to my man, Donnie Maker, who made that. He was actually in it. And it's funny because he was talking about sort of the standard thing you remember all those claims, like when we were in high school, it might have been people doing the dare, like saying no to drugs, all that kind of stuff. And the dare officers were the suppliers, right? Right. It was like the people who were supposedly for the good and doing things like dare. There were cases all out that they were like actually abusing the system. And Donnie was like, yo, this Rap Against Drugs stuff, people in the back getting high at the Rap Against Drugs shows. You know what I'm saying? And it was like
the irony, bro.
Or like the blatant, like, you know, two-facedness of the whole thing or whatever. And just like, you know, and again, you don't want to lead with that because it's great that someone's doing a Rap Against Drugs show, whatever. We were a bunch of them popping off at that time. But my point would be like, okay, well, are we really like owning? Are we doing our part, kind of thing? Like,
yeah,
it's great that we're doing it, but are we really doing it, kind of thing? And so I get it. It'd be easy for me to say, as someone who doesn't even do drugs, right, to be able to say, yo, why can't you just, like, you know, stay clean for like 10 minutes while you do the don't do drugs show, right? And I say all this because when you think about, do we have something to blame and point finger at in terms of internally with the music and the culture? And it's like, yeah, there is stuff but there's the catch 22 of it is that, and I think maybe you agree, I'm not sure, but tell me how you feel in this. I think about the more popular hip hop gets, the easier it is to put out music. We're going to, just like we're talking about the media, there's going to be things that are highlighted that get put to the forefront that aren't exactly the wholesome messages that you'd be hoping for. And I'm not saying it has to be all 100% wholesome, but I'm saying not the stuff you'd be very proud of for the culture gets pushed to the forefront. And but what happens is all the stuff that is good, it becomes harder to find, or the stuff that's like, yo, why don't you promote this? And just like everyone says with the news, right? It's like, why don't you promote the good stories? It's so hard to find the good stories sometimes when everyone's copycatting and going, why would you not copycat? If what you're seeing all the time of what's making it out the gate from the gatekeepers is, yo, I'm going to talk about killing you, shooting you, stealing your money, blah, blah, blah. You're a B word, you're N word, whatever, all the time. That's going to be your patent to say, yo, I guess that's what I got to do. And I actually think that's the case with Young Dolph. I think, like, okay, I know dudes from the streets or whatever, but it's like his positive reward system is like, yo, rap about this stuff. Even if all this good stuff you're doing doesn't make it in your lyrics, well, I'm just going to, it's a business. So this is what I got to rap about, as opposed to, you know, all the good stuff I'm doing.
Yeah, there's definitely, I think there's definitely some truth in, you know, just almost being in character, so to speak, especially for female MCs. There's definitely a character, so to speak, like that kind of whole Lady Gaga kind of thing. Like, you know, I believe that's a real thing. I can tell you also from experience that, and you know this too, though, there's been this overwhelming desire to, they call it, truth rap, so to speak, which, when we were coming up, it was all just, all about creativity. Early hip hop was all about creativity. It wasn't about Biggie really carrying 10 Mac 10s, right? It was just like it rhymed and the scheme was clever. So let me put these words together, but he wasn't really strapped with 10 Mac 10s. But now the era has evolved, we talking like post NWA now. So it's just like everything you say you have to be doing. And so a lot of it too is some of these guys are really street dudes that just managed to make money. So they really hadn't changed as people. And I know most people have good intentions too. So you do good things, you take care of your family, and you get back to your community, you have the resources to do so. But most of us are who we are. The music, the money doesn't change us. And so they're rapping about, for the most part, their lifestyles. They getting high all day. They buying jewelry all the time. They carrying guns all the time, and they really do refer to females as B's and H's. They really don't think a lot of the stripper, or they really don't think a lot about their baby mamas. They really do think she's a trick and she trifling. So that's what they rap about.
Right.
And
I'm sorry.
No, you're just that in conjunction with, like you said, that character. This is so successful. Why would I not do it? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Why would
I can do that, right? Like, hey,
I can do that. And that's why I feel like that's why I always try to be intentional by saying that it's the culture as a whole.
Right.
It's not just the artist, but
it's a copycat culture.
It's the copycat culture, bro. That just, and it's the consumer. That's why I just say it's the whole culture.
I mean, you
can't just blame the artist.
You're Chicago cat, right? So it's like, look at drill music, right? You just look at drill music. Look at drill's influence all over the world, really, right?
The world. Where you got pop singers doing drill
everywhere, right? And I mean, you got your Brooklyn drill, you got your Bronx drill. You know what I'm saying? And I get that they're different, and by the way, like the musicality of drill is dope. Like, I mean, like
what I'm saying, bro.
I'm
it's
a
dope.
Straight fan. Like, give me on a drill beat, but I'm not gonna rap about what people rap on drill beat. I mean, that's just, you know what I mean? Like I love our beats that are like that. I love when I hear I'm like, oh my gosh, this is and you think about it, there's a lot of commonality between what we even call drill now, and like, how does it really differentiate from some of the music that was out 15 years ago? I mean, it sounds really similar in terms of when you think of some of the I mean, I don't even know who uses artists, but I mean, you think about I mean, clearly Pop Smoke is like sort of the Brooklyn, kind of drill version.
It kind of started with in Chicago with Chief Keef.
Absolutely, right. But I'm saying, okay, take Chief Keef, take some of his beats and take some of, like, I don't know who's a good example. Like, I don't want to say Ja Rule, but like some early 50 Cent music. Like,
early 50
or middle early 50 Cent music. You listen to a lot of those beats and you'd be like, yo, this sounds very similar, right?
With that moving 808 kind of.
Yep, absolutely. And that's there. And I mean, and you can go further back, So I mean, a lot of stuff gets regurgitated. But my point with all this is that something comes out of an area like Chicago, which is a very specific kind of area, right? It gains an influence, and now all of a sudden New York is jumping onto it. Like, I mean, that's
huge,
crazy.
New
York doesn't jump on anything.
No,
you know
no. East Coast rap was always, you can always count on East Coast rap, bro.
Right, but some of that Bronx drill. I mean, you listen to the music, like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I mean, in a good way. You listen to it. Now, the content of most of the artists that are doing it is not content that I would be down with. You know what I'm saying? It's so dark and like, like the end of the world, and a lot of overly drug laden, kind of just ridiculous kind of stuff, but I get why kids would like it, because it's like, first of all, I like the music. I just don't like the lyricism. But we are now definitely in an era where people are like, I like that vibe or whatever. It isn't about
They ain't about the lyrics at all.
Yeah, right.
Not
I mean,
as much
sometimes
about
it
the
is.
lyrics.
It's not because the content people are putting in isn't the lyrics, right? But I'm telling you, when people put lyrics to that, watch out, and that's where you see the cycles start to happen. People always talk about, hey, it's shifting more to lyricism. It is in pockets, but in other pockets, it's still much more like what Young Dolph is kind of saying, you know what I'm saying? Which is sort of the typical everyday stuff you'd expect. It's lowest common denominator kind of stuff. And he's got highest common denominator in his real life. And how come that can't find a way? Is that soft
into the song? It's the culture, bro. It's the culture, man. Like that's why I said again, it's the culture as a whole. It's not just the artist. I think artists have a responsibility to, you know, make their art, right? So your art should be an expression of who you are. Like, I don't think that, to me, that's what makes art, right? It being a true or genuine expression of who you are as a person, or what you love, or how you feel at the time, right? That's basically music. How I might have felt sad when I wrote this, or I might have felt, you know what I'm saying? Some of those moody songs are the songs that just go generations at a time, right? Whether it was about civil activism with Marvin Gaye, he wrote about, you know, the dilemma he was dealing with at the time and how it made him felt. And so that's the beauty of it, right? So even for hip hop, you know, it's beautiful to be able to express yourself through music. It should be that. I also feel like because of the popularity of which, you know, the hip hop community itself needed a lot of help to make hip hop the new pop, right? So it had to have some outside influence and the right media people pushing it in front of us in order to make sure that, you know, it got the right play into the right people. But within the culture, it's the artist's responsibility to have, I guess, to try to make a conscious effort to make music once you realize how influential you are. You know what I mean? And so, but these people, again, are just creative people with money. These people may not have, who taught them about how to be responsible?
Well,
that's
always it.
You know what I'm saying? And so just, if you think about the culture as a whole, like it's engulfed within itself. And then you also had a consumer. And so now we sympathize when we lose our artists, especially at a young age. And we're responsible for their desire to keep pushing that character. You know what I'm saying? Because this the character I'm going to subscribe to. I'm going to get on Spotify because this the character I want to hear. Matter of fact, like Spotify to me is the epitome of what you're talking about, because it's a playlist based. You know what I'm saying? And usually playlists are catered to a certain style or a genre.
My stuff keeps turning up on exercise playlist.
Really? On exercise? You know what I'm saying though?
I put out a single before we did the ProQuo stuff. It was on like 7 different exercise things. Like I was like, what? I did this track called Homework, and it was just like I'll run it later. You tell me if you feel like exercise when you hear this. I don't even hear it. You know what I mean?
I know, but I know that wasn't your intention either.
It was not my intention. You know what I'm saying? But I was happy with it. You know what I'm saying? But that definitely drives it. I mean, that's that whole influencer culture and everything. But you know, there's a couple points in there that I want to go back to. One, when you talk, you were talking about us, right? And sort of like, you know, what makes them okay. And the thing is, like, who's telling them? Who's pointing it out for it? And it's like, at some point we have to do that, you know. And so many people that haven't gone to the club in 7 to 10 years, right, are sitting in their house complaining about hip hop's not the way they want it to be. And it's like, what are you doing about it?
What are you doing about it?
You know what I'm saying? Like, if I could write you a list, and I'm not saying this to be a hero, but it's like, if I could write you a list of the things that I do on a daily basis, that I take time out of my day to make sure that it's making an impact, for the average person, it would boggle their mind, because they have no idea, like, what you can. For instance, right, I'll throw one out. There's a site called Nepris, right? NEPRIS.com. It's a volunteer site, right? And you can volunteer to be a guest speaker in people's classroom. I've probably done 15 of those, right? Whenever I can. There's another one coming up and doing for a New York City school for a poetry slam. But I do them for kids. Like, it's like 5th graders. I'm doing one for 5th graders next week, right?
Yeah.
You can do this. All of us can do this, right? All you got to do is do a basic search and go, how can I volunteer, right? And then you start narrowing it. How can I volunteer rapper? How can I volunteer civil rights? Whatever it is that you're interested in. Yo, I stumbled into Nepris. I was actually at a PD thing, and they were talking about it. I was like, yo, that'd be perfect. That's a great way for me to virtually. I couldn't get to all the places that I want to. I got a lot of requests to go to a lot of schools, and a lot of people don't have the budget that you want, right? Like, hey, you know, for me to not teach for a day, like, I'm going to need a certain amount of money to be able to come to your school. I can't just do. But I was like, yo, virtually, I could do a lot of free ones, right? Ones that I wish I could do. sure, there's a site for it. And I'm just saying that's one thing. So like, there's a list of them that we can do. But if you aren't doing them, if we aren't doing them, I don't feel like we have the right to be like saying, oh yeah, these whippersnappers is like, yeah, it's like, when's the last time you were around young people? You know what I'm saying? It's like for the average person, they're just not. My entire livelihood for 2+ decades has been based around people who are from 16 to 25. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I feel like I'm in the pulse of what's going on our quote unquote young people. But I'll say this: there's not much different going on people 16 to 25 than there is the next generation, the next generation, the next generation. Because that little age graduation doesn't mean anything. It's like I know plenty of people in their 50s and 60s and 70s who are completely a mess because they've never had any intervention and they've never changed their ways. Plenty of people in the next step down, like 50s, 40s, nothing's changed. They're still the same person. They went through messed up childhood, messed up parents, maybe who didn't know what they're doing. Still got to love them, but it's like it wasn't perfect. We live in a different world now. We live in a different world now where it's like, you aren't beating your kids, right? At least most of us are not beating our kids, right? There's more things out there to know. There's a lot of reasons why you can't get away with that. And there's a lot of other reasons why we know you shouldn't be doing that in the first place. But for those bro. I was just going to say, for those of us who came up where it was a lot more disciplinarian in the household, it's traumatizing. You know what I'm saying? And that trauma, until you address it, you're going to hold it. And then, in other words, hurt people. And it's like, we're either, there's one or two ways we can go as parents and as mentors and as people in our community. You're either going to do the same thing, but worse, right? And this is the same for educators too. They're going to make your life holy hell because some professor did for them, and they're that kind of teacher or that kind of parent because their parents were that way, or they had no parenting or whatever. Or you're going to do completely the opposite and try to go above and beyond and do everything that maybe wasn't shown to you, or some mix in the gradient. But you see it. You see, this person was a horrible, had horrible parenting, and he's a horrible parent, or she's a horrible parent, or this person had horrible parenting and a horrible environment as a child. Terrible. And now or it's the other way around. Now they're a wonderful parent because now they made a wonderful home environment. Right. It's one or the other. That's what happens. Yeah, absolutely. I know it's you. I mean, from just the conversations we've had. And it's like, this is the big question. How do we make sure everyone chooses that over the opposite extreme? Because sometimes it can be one or two things that can sway the balance, right? Like I know when I was younger, I know which way I leaned towards, and it wasn't good. I was like, when you have stuff that you feel has been done to you, and I'm not just talking about home stuff, it could be externally. You'd be like, you know what? This dude jumped me one day. The next time I'm angry, I'm going to clock someone in the head. That just be the way that you think. And again, hurt people until you know what I mean? Bro. Think about how many mean thoughts you've had in your life and think about why they've happened, right? And so why, like you said, why we expect a rapper who's just another human being who maybe hasn't worked through these issues and maybe is a little younger and hasn't had enough world experience yet to actually be in that place that we are. So what are we going to reach out to them? What are we going to say? What events are we going to do? What organizations are we going to connect them with? And those kind of things, No,
I agree. We definitely had to advocate within the community a lot better. I would say that's something I'm actually very passionate about, man, that I try to do on a day-to-day basis, man, when I encounter or interact directly with people from either my generation or generation before. Most of them call me Unc, and that's because I kind of take that role, that responsibility in their lives, because I just want them to, and I'm transparent about my past too. I don't want them to think, but that's both intentional too, as well as it is just factual, because I mean, it's the truth about, just the traumas of my past and the decisions that I made. But it's also to show them that you can make that transition, like you said. So it's one thing to just say, this is what you need to do. But like, hey, I got the blueprint, so to speak, for lack of a better word, of what you can do. And to me, what it all boils down to, if we just really had to narrow it down, because I think as important as information is, sometimes it's not practical or applicable, right? And so we had to also, and this by being a teacher, you can't just give people a bunch of information.
Right.
It has to be subjective. You know what I'm saying?
And it can't be too much information. Right.
Too much information is bad. Can be just as, I don't want to say bad. I guess too much information can't be bad, but you may end up with the same result of giving too much information as the same with not enough information. And so then you have to figure out how to make the information practical. So how does this apply to my life? I hear what you're saying, but you don't understand my situation. That's the consistent rebuttal you hear. Is like, I hear you, but you don't understand what I'm.
That's right, and that's valid because most of the time we don't.
Most of the time we don't, and so you said, we got to create forums for them.
Because schools have this fake kind of, you come to the classroom and we talk for an hour.
It's like prison being reforming. Our system is like, nothing like what it's supposed to be.
It's not experiential in many cases. It's not like we're out in the environment that our students are in. And in many cases, the educators that are teaching our children do not even live in the communities where they're teaching, right? It's like
no ties,
you got people driving an hour and a half, and I didn't even know this when I started teaching. I was fortunate to teach in my own city, right? Like across the street from where I lived. And, I would say, they pay a lot more than I thought, and they were like, oh, it's called hazard pay. And I was like, what? And they were like, hazard pay. Like people don't want to come in and teach in this city. They'd rather go teach, in an easier community to teach where there's more parental involvement and less issues that you have in the quote unquote inner city. Right. So I'd be like, oh, it makes sense. It makes sense. You are going to have to pay a qualified educator more money to go teach in a tougher environment, especially if they're not from there, right? Like unless you're a bleeding heart, which I am, right? I literally, my business plan was, I can make an impact in my own city. I can't wait. I'm so excited about it. I know I teach the youth the words that I speak is truth. No need for suits. I come straight sneakers and boots. I'm sneaking this slang. I couldn't wait to be like, I can turn these cats on to some of the things that have slightly made the difference for me, and I know I can make an impact. And it's addictive. Once you start doing it, the reward that comes from that kind of stuff, it's selfish. It's like people always give me a lot of credit. It's like, oh, I want to give you big up you for all the stuff you're doing. I'm like, I love it. You don't have to give me any credit. I love it. It's not like people act like I don't like the job or something and like I'm doing some noble thing. It's not noble. It's that I generally get a reward from helping other people. I don't need like someone to give me a trophy for doing that. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm already positively motivated because I internally like that, and so when you like it, you're going to want, like, I love teaching. You know what I'm saying? Like, people ask me this all the time. They're like, when are you going to quit rapping? If you get big, when you going to, dude, I embedded my name into it for the career that I do. You know what I'm saying? My goal is not to blow up and not be able to teach. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's not the dream. My dream is to maximize both and do them both. Right. And that's my blueprint. Right. It's like, how high up the ladder could I go in the education space? How high up the ladder could I go in the rap space and still do both?
Maintain both. Yeah,
that's the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, and shout out to Miss Gibbs too. She works with me too. And in fact, Miss Gibbs is the secretary for the dean where I work. And it's funny because if I didn't meet her, I probably wouldn't have got the job. I met her. I interviewed for my job. I know we're going off a tangent here, but I want to give her a shout out while she's in there.
No, shout out, man.
She kind of had a feeling about me. She's like, you might want to hire this guy, right? And she was kind of looking out for me, right? And I bring this whole scenario up, thinking about like the educational space as I want to say it like this, say it the right way. Educational spaces are rewarding for people that are in the arts, for people that are into social justice, for people that are into community activism, for people like those spaces are similar. And a lot of times they don't get harvested. And I think she had an inkling about that. She was like, this dude seems generally like a good person who wants to do like the right, like I was excited to be there. Cause I'm like, this could be the dream job for me, for this time in my life. This is exactly what I want to do. And this is exactly where I want to, the goal isn't to be so big that I don't need it. Right. It's like, and so when you tell this to other MCs and to other artists and be like, have you ever thought of going into education? I'm not trying to say you need to be a teacher. You could be a guidance counselor. You could be, there's
Right.
only a few things you need to do to get yourself into that career path. And it's so rewarding. It might not be the most financially rewarding, especially when you're starting out, but like anything, if you're good at it, it can become rewarding. And this
reward.
That's what I was gonna say. I know it's the same for you and what you do. It's like, you've reached a level of success that feeds your family and takes care of you and gives you independence and the ability to do what we're doing right now without feeling like you got to turn a profit from every single thing that you're doing, because your life is going in a good direction, right?
Yeah.
And it's like young people need to hear that too. They need to hear, like, a lot of times we have this like, oh, it's a taboo for us to talk about money. Yo, I talk about it anytime. I've made way over 100 grand rapping, way over 100 grand. Yeah. And I make, with everything combined, I make over that each year, right? Like with everything combined, right? And we need to tell people that, because people go, oh, I'm just so nice that you're an educator. It's like, yo, I make 6 figures and I have a lot of time off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I have a lot more time off than the average person, right? I make over 6 figures and I rap. You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
more people need to hear that, bro. And you say this all the time, bro. You're an advocate of that all the time. Is that's probably, and it'd be crazy, and it'd be
that ain't billionaire status, but it's rewarding,
but it's more likely. And you say this all the time. It's more likely for people to become me than it would be to become Bill Gates. It's like a million times more likely, right?
Yes. What I'm doing or you're doing is not impossible. It's not. Like, it's like you live comfortably. Actually, and you got a lot more kids than I do. You live comfortably, right? Comparatively to where you live, you actually do better than I do. Right? We've talked about this, economies of scale. I live in an expensive area, right? But it's like, yo, I got one kid, a wife, we're married, we get our place, right? We all talked about this, being debt free, right? Like living in a life that I pretty much can go to the store and buy anything I want at any given time. I can pretty much go. I drive a fancy sports car. My wife has a fancy car, whatever. Our house is paid for. We're in good health, God willing, right? Everything's peachy, right? Kind of. There's no actual huge stress. If I want to make a song, I make a song, right? There's no, that life is good. Why do you need to go be, I gotta be a millionaire, blah 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 blah. Like. Here's the other thing too. I try to do this too, to say this whenever I can get like an artist in my office too, or whatever, come into my office. So same thing, kind of the walls behind me get crap all over the place. Half the reason I put all the stuff up is to let people go, damn, I didn't know you did all that. It's like, I still do it, and it's still rewarding. Every day I wake up, there's an opportunity for me to promote my message, just like you. I know why you do it, promote my message. I've been in the newspaper about 100 times. I've done about 100 paid college shows. You know what I'm saying? I've got albums that I've made with no pressure. Just like, make the album that you want to make, kind of thing, right? Not baller, but comfortable. Why don't we teach people to shoot for that? You know what I'm saying? Instead of like, you need to be, XYZ rapper or whatever, who's fearing for their life.
Every day,
living a stressful life,
more
and
money,
can't
more
talk
problems.
They can't talk about the real things in their life because it's not good for business.
Because it's not good for business. That's the truth, bro. That's the truth. And I wish, like Tree said, intervention. So for me, an area of focus would be, we talked about education reform, about how it's a lot lopsided because it's like predicated on tax, and you have inner city people who pay less taxes, so the schools are terrible. I think that's a terrible infrastructure to have for education. But like for what we talk about often and how we approach, really just being an impact the youth and teaching a positive message, I think that a partnership with public schools would be great. And the reason why, to me, that would be my area of focus is because I think it's our greatest chance to maximize impact, right? Because the kids are already in a dedicated area. Most of them are going to be there. Where they're going to be, when they're going to be there. It can be structured. There's already an infrastructure in place for classroom settings, being at school. This time of day, you got this time of day. Somehow there can be a coalition built where a hip hop community of people with a positive message can walk into every school and have, I don't want to necessarily say a class, but you know, I don't want to say a club because it doesn't need to necessarily be optional. It needs to be available and put to where every kid has the opportunity, gets the opportunity to hear that message. They're making the decisions about life and their aspirations and who they see on TV and making their aspirations about who they want to be like, because it's basically what we see. No, you're not really looking around your neighborhood if you're struggling or you're in poverty saying, I want to be that person. Unless it's the dope boy, in which, you know, that's the wrong example to have, right?
But
and
it's
so
the only
it's usually,
example sometimes.
right?
Yeah.
And exactly, it's the only example. So usually it's someone that's a negative influence or someone that you see on TV and you get some unrealistic view about what you should be with your life. And so they need everyday people who's not their mom or their dad, and believe it or not, who's not necessarily their teacher, because there's something about that message that doesn't come the same way. It needs to be almost a stranger, may not necessarily be. And so my only desire, bro, for fame of any sort is for the influence.
Yeah, right.
I just
no,
want
that's absolutely it.
Yeah, I just only want to be famous enough so when I want to positively influence someone, they believe me. Because I know that I'm gonna do the right thing. I know that my heart's in the right place.
That's
I know
it.
that
Right.
I'm
You
gonna
know
get
you're
a
gonna do
message.
right.
I know I want to be it.
I say the same thing all the time. I say to my son a lot of times. I'll say, you know, we were saying this today. By the way, I did a video with him today. He solved the Rubik's Cube in 3 minutes today. So that was like, he's like, he can beat dad now. You know what I'm saying? He's like, dad forgets the algorithm, right? Like, so it's like, even though I taught him the first like 3, but like, so now he can, you know, he does his research and he's up on it. Now he's like, you know, and he's 8, right? So I'll say to him, I'll reinforce it and I'll say, what are your superhero skills? And he'll go, these are his. He'll go, Daddy, I'm really smart. And I'll say, what do you mean by that? And he'll say, well, I can solve puzzles and figure things out. And I said, how do you solve puzzles and figure stuff out? He goes, well, I don't quit. And I'm like, there you go. You know what I'm saying? Daddy's like that too. Right, you know, mommy's like that too. We don't quit. You know, like we fail often, hard, and we're excited about it because it's another opportunity to do well. Now, if we're not saying that message all the time to our young people, right? It's very easy for them to feel like failures with math, with whatever. But the mindset has to be, you know, failure's great. It's another opportunity. I fail all the time. I'm going to fail if I do the Rubik's Cube right now. You are now officially going to beat me doing it. You know, so and now, so what's he do? He goes in the mall. He's like, Daddy, I need a new one because this cube that I have is bad. Can I get a new? And so he's sitting there. He's like going for it. He's like, Daddy, I think I can do it 2 minutes tomorrow. You know what I mean? And use that as an example. And the first part though is, what's the superhero skill? Out their mouth. Don't tell them, right? And I'll go, what do you notice other superheroes have? I don't mean the ones that have like magic and stuff. I mean like the regular people, you know, like Clint, or I'll talk about, you know, people like Tony, right? I said, like, well, what's Tony Stark's? You know, well, Daddy's really smart and he has a lot of tech. And I said, oh, so he knows how to use tech too, right? Yeah. He knows how to. I was like, so that's good to know, right? I was like, well, you can kind of look at Black Panther that way. What's his skill? He goes, he doesn't really have any superhero skill, although he does when he's ingested with the Black Panther juice, right? But he's like, other than that, he's like, it's tech, it's science. Oh, and he's a good fighter. And I was like, what kind of fighting? He's like, martial arts. And I go, do you do martial arts? He goes, yeah. Right. I'll say, is that a good superhero skill? He goes, yeah. Right. So, and then you get off of the just beating people up stuff. You get into the physical health, being healthy, you know,
the discipline of it and all that.
And he'll go, yeah, Daddy. He goes, I'm going to have muscles bigger than you someday. And I was like, you got to aim higher, son. No, but then it gets into the conversation. I'll say, you know what me and Mommy did this morning? He's like, what? I was like, we shot baskets in the gym. We're shooting shots. But then I followed up with the conversation. I go, Henry, you know what allows us to be able to go to the gym? We have to pay for the membership. It's close. I had to think about when I was choosing the house where I wanted to be, a place that we could both go to the gym, right? You're in school. It's like we're there at 8 a.m, that kind of thing. Mommy owns her own business. Daddy's job is pretty flexible. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, do you want to have that when you like you can work for yourself or what? You know, we got to always be mentoring them along the way. So they don't think any of this is magic. You know what I'm saying?
So let me ask you that now that you brought that up. How do you feel about, and I like the word mentoring better. The person that I heard describe this next topic, in the vein of what you was talking about with mentoring Henry, they use the word grooming. And this word just doesn't have a good connotation
It does
to it
not have a good connotation
at all.
Not at all.
But I
First time I heard
understood.
that word and know the way that you're referring to it, I had no idea. I was like, I'm never using that word again. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
And I'm like, yeah, I know what they meant. They really meant
Right.
mentoring, which
Yeah.
and they were actually talking about, this was a single young lady, has she's educated, has her own business, like simultaneously has her own business, you know, like consulting and stuff like that, but also, you know, has a job, I think, with the state or something like that. And she really alludes her independence to how she was taught. Like you said, she alludes to how she was taught, how she was trained. Said her dad taught her to be independent. And so she kind of went both ways with it. She said, you know, I'm happy that I have my independence and that, you know, I don't necessarily have to depend on anyone to be successful in my life. But she said there's also a part of me that I struggle with being in a relationship because I have been mentored to be an independent woman. And she said, as much as I desire to have a relationship, to have a husband that I can depend on and that I can, you know, defer to during stressful times. She said, but, you know, so I'm kind of like in a give and a take where my independence is like a gift and a curse for me. And she talked about going the next step with, you know, how she felt like she should be mentoring her kids to be, this is what she said. She said she wanted to mentor her daughter to be a spouse. And she didn't mean it in a way to say, you know, I'm gonna teach you how to be an obedient woman. But there's a level of mentorship that goes into, like you were saying, preparing your kids to be in a position where they can be successful or whatever it is they, you know, decide to be. So if you decide to be a husband, you should know going into that, you know, how to be somewhat decent at it. You know what I'm saying? What it takes to be a good husband, or if you decide to be a wife, if you're a young lady, what it takes to get to that position. You shouldn't have to say I do and then start learning, then you punch in. You know what I'm saying? At being a wife or being a husband or being a father. That mentorship, like you said, starts at a young age. And I believe that our communities are a lot stronger because of families. Right. Like, as much as I appreciate the opportunity people may have or the freedom that they have by not having a spouse or children, the strength of our world is in communities, and our communities are built on with families. And so I believe that having just that basic understanding, we talked about family dynamics when I was in school, but you don't really hear about the family dynamic anymore. And so most people are going to have children. You know what I mean? And so our existence depends on it. You know what I'm saying? The procreation of our species. So why aren't we talking about that in school? How to be a good parent, or how to be a good husband, or how to be a good, why isn't that family dynamic being taught in school, since most of us one way or the other are going to be somewhat in our adult life in that position? Just, you know, just basic things.
Yeah, I mean, the one argument you would hear, much like you hear about critical race theory in the schools, right, is that they're too young, right? Like, at what age can you talk about race? At what age you talk about parenting? At what age? Certainly, we could twist that the other way and say, we could say sex, and we could say, wait a minute, you know what I'm saying? We don't want to talk about that. We want to bypass the process and talk about the end result and say, like, so you can hear people that raise the argument about, well, if we don't want people doing sex ed, then we don't want them doing family ed either. You know what I mean? And that's one argument. The other argument it could be made is that, well, it is being done. It is being taught in a lot of classes. It is the whole idea of home ec, literally, you know, was some of the sort of home domestic kind of skills that you would need without the emphasis on the family, like, because it could be for yourself. Well, it doesn't really matter if you have a family or not, right? Like, knowing how to live healthy is going to pass down with you have kids as well, too.
Exactly.
So I don't think it needs to be centered necessarily on, like, you know, raising the kids. But when you get to college, you can go to community college, you can go to UDCC, and you could have early childhood education. You can take a course on it, whether or not it's your major, right? Early childhood education is a course that you can take. And a lot of people go into that major because they want to teach, right? They want to do daycare or whatever. There's a lot of people doing very profitable businesses doing that as well. But you can just take the courses too. A lot of these things are online now. You know, there's a lot of stuff
Yeah.
online you can. I mean, my kid would not be doing the Rubik's Cube in 3 minutes if it wasn't for online videos, you know. And so he's not reading it in a book. You know what I'm saying? It's like he is practicing on his own, but he's watching YouTube videos, right?
Yeah.
So if nothing else, this generation is excited about watching YouTube videos. The question is, how do we get them to the right videos? How do we get them to the right people? You know, it's not sexy and exciting and entertaining to say, hey, you want to learn how to raise a family?
Hip hop makes it a little more attractive. You know, taking that approach.
I mean, you think about this is the thing. I wrote in my book. I mean, I got my book over here. I could quote the exact page. I've read it often enough. I was a marketing major as an undergrad, only because I wanted to, you know, market my own business. Talked about that before, right? They're like, hey, he's good at math. Let's put him in accounting. Was bored stiff. I said, what can I do in business that isn't accounting? They were like, marketing. I was like, cool, that's for me. Let me do marketing. That's the happy medium, right?
Right.
Getting there, I remember hearing marketing 101. They were like, if you want to, it almost sounds like the Tommy Hilfiger thing that he said when he said, hey, if you want to get black people to buy it, all you got to do is blow up the logo, right? Like, remember all that?
Yeah.
And people were real upset with that, right? Marketing classes weren't too far off from that. Sans the black people. It was, if you want to sell a product, right? We talk about the 4 Ps: product, place, promotion, and price. You have to have those mastered and understand. You need to know what is the product, what is the promotion that you're doing, right? What is the price that you're going to do? Mathematically, what's the price? Not just willy-nilly. Like there's a perfect price at which, you know, you can have sort of diminishing marginal returns after a certain point or whatever. But we're saying like there's a perfect price where supply meets demand that you do with some market research, right? You get that in there. The place is the distribution part. Place just means distribution. Where are you putting this product? How do we find it? Outside of that, they were like, if you just want to ramp up your numbers, here's what you do. And I remember hearing this. I was like, good, now we get into it. And they were like, sex, violence, and the Tommy Hilfiger thing. Take the logo and make it prominent and blow it up. That was what it was. So it was materialism. Hear what they are. Materialism, sex, violence. Those are the magic 3. And when you think of the winning, think of an artist. They work. Think of an art at the time. I'm thinking about the artists who were coming up, right? Like think about right after. Think of the biggest ones in history, and you think like 50 Cent, right? 50 Cent was one of the first people to get $1 million deal, right? Got $1 million the deal, and that's right. So think about it. It was sex, it was violence, and it was unit. It was just literally repeating the logo. Show the logo all the time. Sex, violence, logo. Sex, violence, logo. Right, and it's a very simple reason, and why hip hop is such a wonderful endorsement for this is because it is lowest common denominator. It's not because sex has some special superpower. It's because, and we like to argue with you that some people we like to. But what I'm saying is it's a stimulant, much like a drug, right?
Basically, the same stimulation.
But it's also very easy to understand. Yep. It's very
primitive.
Simple.
That's
primitive. It. That's what I'm saying. It's so simple that it's primitive, as is violence. We talked about this before. It is so simple to understand. So if you want the most amount of people to follow what you're saying, you know, at a certain age level, the age level that hip hop targets in at, which is like 12, right? Hip hop really goes for the 12-year-old to 15-year-old market, and they emphasize girls, right? 12 to 15-year-old girls are going to really have a good handle on sex, violence, materialism, as will 12 to 15-year-old boys, right?
Yeah.
It's very simple. And hip hop is the perfect product to come around to voluntarily do this already. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not saying it wasn't enforced. There's a lot of talk about the conspiracy theories about that meeting that happened, right? Where people said, yo, we're going to blow up hip hop. We're going to get more people in jail. We're going to, you know, I don't know if you've ever read those kind of stories.
I thought it was Crazy Bone or somebody, you know, outright.
They exposed all that, right? And it's like, I'm not a huge conspiracy theorist, but to me, that's not a deep one to have to believe. Like, sure, I believe there was a meeting that somebody sat down and said, I'm saying it right now. That's exactly what they were teaching in marketing school. So why would someone who's a business person not take this same thing up? Not obviously with the nefarious part being added in, like, yo, whoever we're gonna get to be the ambassador to do this. And at the time, hip hop, it made sense. It would be black and brown people who were the most people that were doing
pioneers.
hip-hop. we're gonna get them. You know what I'm saying? It was like, and then you saw the explosion with NWA when they started really amping that up.
The violence.
That's when the commercial aspect really jumped into hip hop. So it's not a surprise that we're going to continue to see the expense of this as being more black and brown bodies dying as a result of this, right? Because those are the ambassadors for who's out doing the music. Until that plan changes, and now that we got more people than ever doing it, it's not something special about hip hop, right? It could be any music. It's just this is the biggest music. It's
right.
Like, it's where the most
the
money
content's
is.
pretty much the same.
Yeah, it's
across music.
But I'm saying it could be any kind of music. It's just that this is the perfect delivery modem, and it requires the lowest entry fee for people to get into. When you think about the nature of hip hop music and what it's made on, how you make it, how you reproduce
it's basically free.
It's basically free now. We've made it so the entry level. And if you were running the show and you wanted to have some big conspiracy behind it, you'd make the entry level free. And by the way, you control all the financial part and not have it be public information like it is right now. It's almost impossible to figure out the deals that labels have in place with people like Spotify and like how much money they're actually making, as opposed to the literal fractions of a penny
that the artist gets
on the dollar, right? So it's the perfect storm, and we got everyone jumping rope to try to be that next artist. Sign me up. You know what I'm saying? Such a great model, makes so much sense. Nah, there's another way, bro. You know what I'm saying?
There's another way, bro.
There's another way.
It's you definitely spot on, man. Like as always, it's the things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, man, and just really I just really have a desire, man, to be able to reach our youth, to help people become the best version of themselves, man, to really promote a more realistic point of view. There's a scripture that said, the poor you should have with you always. And so we know that everyone won't be necessarily rich, but the thing about it, there's enough money in circulation for the issue is going to be if everyone was comfortably living, that they'll find a way to make things so much more expensive that there will always be. And that's why when you hear people, when people hear me quote scripture and say the poor you should have with you always, they misinterpret what I'm saying as to make it sound like a suppressive intention. But it's just how our economy and our system is built, that there will always find a way to create classes of people. Mm-hmm. That if everybody had money, then either money would not have any value, they would change it to some kind of material that very few people can get and make it the currency. There will always be that cycle, right? They'll always find a way to create a lower class, an upper class, or in the middle class, or whatever. So they'll always find a way to do that. It's just right now it's dollars and cents. Before it was dollars and cents, what was it, like gold? You know, if you think of like in ancient times, it was gold and silver and rubies and carbuncles and stuff like that. So
and things you can make, right? Who smelted the best iron, like that,
right? And all those things. So classes will always exist. The poor you will always have with you. But I think that at least people shouldn't be going to bed hungry or homeless.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like to me, those two things. And people,
education, that doesn't make you communist because you think that people should have basic needs.
I think everyone should have basic needs. And that's my thing. I don't necessarily feel like everybody needs to be rich. I don't necessarily feel like every billionaire needs to, split their wages and distribute it evenly amongst the rest of us people who are scrapping. Yeah,
I'm right there with you. I am very left center in terms of my political affiliations, right?
Yeah.
But I am a little right of center when it comes to the capitalism thing. I'm a capitalist. I'm not a like, we got to abandon the system or whatever. No, we need to fix the system. But when I say capitalist, I do not view myself as a communist because I believe that we should have universal health care, right? But we should have, like you said, people should have a place to sleep, right? And they should be able to eat. Right. It doesn't matter what you're doing. There should be no penalty that we impose upon society that says, because you're lazy, you're not going to eat. That's just crazy barbarian. We should be able to, you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, maybe I don't have as much energy as Pro or Fly or whatever, but are we going to penalize someone because I want to work harder? No, it's like, you don't say we're going to penalize the whole, there should be an easy way of redistribution of wealth that allows for all of our citizens to have a roof over their head and food. The problem is no one wants to do the math and realize that we are in abundance in this country, and only political agendas that distract you from that fact will blind you from the fact that there is so much money to go around. It's staggering. Well, we're spending, like I did a post a few years ago, it popped up on Facebook, and at the time we were spending.
We can't even talk about that much money. How about
it was about at the time it was like, our budget, back in the day or whatever, right? It was like $700 billion on defense, right? And then you were looking at what was spent on education.
That's the whole budget, bro.
Education was like 68 billion. Right, it was like 68 billion, and it's like 700 billion on defense. But no one wants to talk about that, right? It was like no one wants to sit around and talk about that. Whatever the exact numbers were, it was 7 times greater, at a minimum, on the lowest end of the time spectrum that I was looking at, and it was as high as 14 times greater. It was from 7 to 14 times greater that we've always spent on defense compared to education, right? And it's like, okay, the education of the entire country, the public education system, versus the defense that we're spending. And what a lot of people forget is that defense budget also includes money that we're giving to other countries, right? We just hand to other countries, right? As sort of retribution to make sure, well, we want to build these missiles and we want to build this defense. And we also need to give you a certain amount so that you can build it, so that you can shoot these people. You know what I'm saying? Right. And it's like, yo, bro. Like, if we all were just looking at budget on a budget level, and we saw 700 billion, right? Which in these dollars is well over $1 trillion, right? In today's money,
in today's money,
it's like, okay, well over $1 trillion, right? And it's like we manufacture $1 trillion now all the time. Whatever we did, $1 trillion now is becoming like $1 million was, a few years ago.
What are we doing, man?
And it's like, yeah, but we can't have money we can't have money to feed all the homeless. No, of course not. It's like, are you crazy? Of course we can. You know what I'm saying? Of course that doesn't make you communist. No one's, it is like super, super wealthy people, right? That most people are down with that. They understand that. Like, yeah, I can pay some taxes to make sure that people can sleep and eat, right? But it's when the crazy stuff gets into budgets where people start to have a problem. As people like when there's waste and excess, it's hard to argue against the waste and excess we've had in our budgets for years and years and years. It's hard not to be a little right of center when you really look at the wasteful policies that we've had in this country. But right of center on that issue should not make you right of center on issues like feeding the poor. Right,
exactly.
Like housing the poor, healthcare. Like, I got
spend the money.
In Europe
when it comes
right
to that,
now
spend
that
the
laugh
money.
at us at our. They laugh at us like, bro, come on over here. It is so wonderful. We have universal healthcare. It's basically free, and it's good healthcare, right? And we spend a fortune over here to have our teeth brushed and go to the doctors a couple times a year. Let alone if you have some kind of
ridiculous, bro.
It's crazy, right? It's crazy, and And I get why there's so much conspiracy theory on the virus and all that stuff too, because you look at the big pharma, who's like raking in the money. You know what I'm saying?
Raking,
even before this, raking in the money. So it's like, of course, people want to point the finger at it because they're just trying to get
you're just trying to get paid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which they are. I mean, it's not. There's no lie in that. They are definitely just they may not only be trying to get paid, but they're definitely trying to get paid. And so that alone, in conjunction with people's conspiracy theories and stuff like that, about man, they have.
And by the way, I'm checking out that tree. By the way, I want to say this.
That's the truth, though.
Way back, even before you jumped on the show, consistently, we were doing Quo and I before we even really started calling it the ProQuo Show officially. We started out with something that we carried into when we did the ProQuo Show. By the way. Another plug next week, the anniversary 1 year show.
1 year.
We used to do top 20 conspiracies, right? We do the top 20 conspiracy, and Quo did the test. I did the test. All our guests, we'd make them real fast. You have to go through which ones you believe and which ones you don't, right? And I think I was like a 3, maybe. I can't remember. Out of like 20, I was like a 3 that I believed. One of them, which I believed, was one of them that came true over the weekend, which was the Malcolm X killers, right? We were talking about, do you believe that Martin and Malcolm were killed by the government, right? And I was like, yeah, probably. But
yeah, definitely.
Right? The whole did you see the Malcolm X thing come out? Did you see this?
Yeah, the killers and stuff got released and all that.
They were the wrong killers, right? And it's funny because in this day and age, over the weekend, we still had a lot of us weren't paying attention to the death row case, right? That was going on. all the protests all over the country, and they won that protest to get dude off death row. I mean, he's going to be doing life, but it seems wrongfully committed. It seems, right? Was about to die if it wasn't for people protesting and putting the pressure on. But I bring that up again too because, like, think about who the shooters were in the Malcolm X case. It was still two melanated dudes still sitting in, falsely accused in this case.
Yeah, exactly, which seems all too common.
And the shooter, the dude who did it back in the day, was like, "Yo, those two aren't my accomplices," and they're like, "Nah, it's good. We're just gonna put them in too."
Yeah,
yeah. It was like that. Always seemed a little messed up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I am low on the conspiracy theory score, but while we were on that topic, I want to say, yo, I am no big fan of big pharma. You know what I'm saying? Most of the cases, but the vaccine's real and it works. Just throwing that out there, by the way.
Yeah,
throwing that out there. But
bro, we didn't win over. We
did,
man. We
did.
over as always.
But Tree, I see your last comments here. I want to chime in on them too. My kids are not allowed today to be involved romantically and have been told to wait until they've gone to college. I broke it down for them to a science, telling them your brains ain't grown. Okay, good luck with that one.
I know that's a tough one. But we'll talk. We'll go on about that
Hey, I'm applauding you. Good luck with that one. Good luck enforcing that one. But because the wait till they've gone to college. Oh, they're gonna be excited when they get to college. Let me
and their little brains, because the circuitry, because their brains are not grown. Absolutely. Which is true. Because of that, we tend to, again, to your point, respond primitively to, or we're easily incited at that age. I mean, even as an adult, you're still incited about certain things that intrigue you. So when the videos and the YouTube ads and all this stuff that just pops up in front of you, the lyrics and the songs, and so that Hollywood's showing on Netflix and at the movies and stuff like that, and it's not common to see a woman's boobs on regular everyday TV, right? And so a kid's gonna think like, "Whoa, wait a minute."
Me on this though, I'll just say the Trees thing. While I'm with you in theory, the not allowed to date part, like, as much as I would wish that would be the case for my kids, right? It's like not allowing them to date. Like, here's the thing. Like,
there should be a form of,
they're gonna date without your consent.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Definitely. No doubt.
And when they go to college, they're gonna be wilding when they go to college. So it's like,
doubt.
You might want to give them hey, don't take my advice on it. I don't have kids that old, right? So it's like, I'm saying, just working around people, right? There'll be, listen, you got the people that age you tell them, but I'm just saying, being around that age group and hearing what kids say on a day-to-day basis about their parents and stuff like that. I'm just saying, like, kids are gonna find a way if they need to. We got to try to support them, point them in the right direction.
That's the key,
Try to over-police them.
Build a rapport with them. And they're still going to ultimately do what they want to do. But if you build a rapport with them, if you train them up in the way that they should go, if you put the right information in them so that when they are making those independent decisions, it leans a little bit more what they should be doing.
Right, because to do what they want to do will be what you want them to do if you're not beating them over the head with it.
Exactly.
So it's like, they're gonna, like, if I'm 15, 16 years old and I'm seeing this fly, whatever, no pun intended,
right,
I'm gonna be like, let me figure a way.
Make that
happen, right? Like, it may not be exactly the way that I want it to happen, but I'm gonna try to finagle something, right? So it's you gotta, I get it. I'm not gonna, not gonna be letting them sleep in the bed and that kind of stuff or whatever. But
my 14-year-old son is really, really like heavily into girls now, and he's like, his thing is that I want to go to trampoline park. Like, I know you're meeting some girl up there. That I want to go to, he's on the basketball team, 9th grade, his freshman team. And so he's like, Dad, I just want to go watch the football game. Like, okay, it's clearly some girls gonna be there.
I want to go watch the football game too, son.
Yeah, let me go with you. So it's just kind of like, I want to meet her. So that's kind of,
when you're the flyest dad in the country, it's like, you can get away with that, right? You can be like, yo, so let's roll.
Yeah, they kind of like, Dad, you can come. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't like cramping your style. I'm like, we like, all your friends talking about, like, hey, where your dad get his shoes from? You know what I'm saying? And so I show up at his games, and it's like, hey, Dad, come here, let me introduce you to my friends. I wanted to be that dad, so I can have the proper amount of influence on my son, so that it's really not about me. It's really about, like you said, building a rapport with them, so that what he think is his thoughts are really my thoughts.
See, and that's what Tree's saying right here. Look what she said. Right. Look what she said. My kids have adopted my values. Okay, then there you go. You're winning. You're winning. You know?
Yep, that's the trick, man. Like, yeah, man, you know, she looks nice on you. It's natural because also too, you want to support the wholesomeness of it. It's natural for your son to be attracted to girls. I'm like, okay, yeah, good, yeah, definitely want to discourage you from that. And so, how do I find that meeting and say, yeah, you know, let me meet. I would like to talk to her, but it's probably best that you guys stay friends. You know, communicate with her. Try not to stay up all night talking. You know, if it's the weekend, then yeah, whatever, walk the bam, and yeah, you want to meet her, you want to just bring her to the house, and y'all sit in the living room. She can come, yeah, she definitely can come.
Today,
I don't want to put you in a position where you got to sneak out the house, you got to sneak her in. Yeah, invite her over to the house, and y'all sit in the living room. You know what I'm saying?
You're talking about prom today. He saw
already.
He saw a store in the. We were in the mall, and he saw not today, tonight, and before we did this, actually, we were getting some Sarku. He loves Sarku, but he sees the store. They have like dresses and and I was like, oh, that's for proms and cotillions and that kind of stuff. He goes, what's a prom? And I'm like, oh, it's a big dance you do when you're like in high school, when you're like in grade like 12. He's like, that's a long way away. I was like, yeah. He goes, why do people want to go to a dance? And I was like, well, do you like the dance? He's like, yeah. I was like, you love dancing with mommy, right? He's like, yeah. I was like, well, people even like it more when they get older. He's like, and he goes, oh. And they wear those kind of clothes and stuff. Like, that's kind of weird. Not everybody wants to go, but some people think it's the greatest thing ever. And he's like,
for me, it was definitely
he goes,
the greatest
maybe.
thing.
He was like, maybe. Yeah, for me, I could care less. Fee and I performed at our high school prom. That was fun. His brother was in the band, so that was fun. And my man Marcus. By the way, my man Marcus, he got a movie coming out this weekend. It's called Brotherly Love. Instant Brotherhood is in that as well, and they are doing a release party for that at Chunky's. So if you're in Massachusetts, New England, a lot of people that I know are. My man Marcus B. Hot from Cal. He's doing a release party, and it's like just before Fee comes on our show to do our show, and they're showing the video of Beast Over Beats, the track that we're on that we're debuting next week. So if you were in Massachusetts, actually it's right over the border. Chunky's is in Pelham, New Hampshire, which is a weird configuration on the map where it's just like just over the border, shares like a Mass area code too for part of it, but whatever. It's technically in New Hampshire, and they do. Chunky's is dope. You ever been in one of these theaters where they serve you the food, right? They got Chunky's. Yeah, Chunky's is old. Here. They bought Lincoln Town Car chairs, and they have like 1,000 of them, and they took them out of the cars.
Dope, though.
Yeah, the theater's got the long tables in between or whatever,
like a diner almost.
Yeah, and the waiters and stuff come. I'm not sure how many people I want at my table during this time.
I know, right? But Studio like, Movie Grill, the one we went to in Texas, my wife and I, we were in Dallas. Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah, but so, the nostalgia.
Check out Brotherly Love. Check out my man Marcus if you're out there. Check him out.
Write that down.
Brotherly
Love. Marcus, what?
His name is Mark Altenwig, and
okay, yeah, I saw that on Fees.
Yeah, Fee and Ruby got a track in there too. A bunch of artists.
IB Hood.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, check that out. In fact, I'll tell you what here. Let me actually do one more before we get out. I will show his page here. If I get out of all my little silly messages we have here. Not that. Area director's new film captures comic horror of Black Friday shopping.
Yeah. That's comical right there, bro.
Oh, here's Fee's post. So Fee's post actually says a lot about it. So let me go right here.
Yeah, he had the whole night. He had a whole rundown about the whole week.
Here's the rundown. We'll go over here. Oops, I don't know where Fly went. Here's off Mark's page. He reposted it right there. So Fee put crazy week ahead. Tonight, Friday, is 80s dance party with DJ Myth. DJ Myth is a problem. Better off dead at 80s dance party. Sunday, my friend Mark Altwig will be showing his movie Brotherly Love at Chunky Cinema. So that's this Sunday in Nashua, and we'll be premiering my new music video, Beast Over Beats, before the movie starts. I didn't know it was in Nashville. There must be one there too, or either he mistyped that or probably me off because I haven't been up there in a while. Wednesday is W Rap Show with Cody Pope, who's also on the track, Lunar Landing, and Fee. They're doing a show up Wednesday up there. Rage Cage. Thursday, my new single Beast Over Beats drops featuring Cody Pope, Pro Lyrical, J. Cruz, DJ Myth, Detention, A Lunar Landing mixed by Matty Fee, and they will be up on the show. Friday, the affiliates and I will be interviewed by ProQuo page, ProQuo. Then next Monday, I'm off to Wonka Sound recording studio with the legendary Bob Nash. He is legendary. Yeah, so there it is. So check out Mark's thing. If you're in New England on Sunday, check that out. All the superstars will be there. That's it. And these two superstars are checking out. All right.
Supernova.
Check us out next week, baby.
Yes, sir. Anniversary.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Run a little Tony Tone, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
peace out, bro.
All right, man. Take care. Peace.